Thank you for joining us this evening, and this will be part 7 of our teaching that we're doing on the name of the Messiah, or what is the name of the Messiah, and or Mashiach, as it would be said in Hebrew. And tonight on this session, we're going to talk a little bit more about the most controversial renderings of the Mashiach's name in Hebrew, one being Yahusha and the other one being Yahusha. And I believe the scriptures clearly indicate that the Mashiach's name is Yahusha and not Yahushua. And we'll go into that tonight and share something about that with you. Also, the name that's real popular or used most often with the Messianic Jewish believers is the name Yeshua. And that is not, first of all, let me say that that's not even a Hebrew proper name, Yeshua. It's Aramaic, by the way, Aramaic name, but it's not Hebrew, original Hebrew. And the Father would not have given his son an Aramaic name. He would have given him a Hebrew name, pure Hebrew name, and which would have been Yahusha. But you won't even find, if you do research in a Brown's Driver lexicon, you won't even find Yeshua as a proper Hebrew name. And so, with that said, that should be enough to settle the case, but it's not, because there's so many people that don't understand why that Yahushua cannot be the name of the Mashiach, simply because Shua actually attached to Yahu, which is the part of the Father's name. Shua actually means to cry out, and that's the root meaning of Shua if you look it up. In fact, I've got some notes here. I'm going to read some things to you. When you first look up the word Jesus in a concordance, it's going to refer you to the Greek number 2424, because it's supposedly supposed to be Greek, but it was translated or transliterated into Ieasous into Greek, and then it was transliterated from Ieasous into Latin, which would be Hesus, and you'll find that rendering in the 1611 King James Bible, the first one that came out, as Hesus, because there's no J letter in the Hebrew. There was no J letter in the original 1611 King James Bible. We covered that in our past sessions, so you might want to go back and listen to those if you haven't. But with that said, when you looked at up the name Jesus in your concordance, it'll refer you to the Greek number 2424, and then you look that up. It's going to refer you to the Strong's Concordance Hebrew number 3091, and then it's going to tell you that. And by the way, let me just say this: it's going to refer you, let's say, if you're looking in a Strong's Concordance, or using that as a reference to find the meaning of the words. And by the way, the Strong's Concordance is great for a starting point, but all of Strong's translations are not totally what I would say accurate, because they're based upon the Masoretic text. And if you understand about the Masoretic text, that means that they use vowel points around the names or letters or words to change the way that the names were pronounced. And with that said, that's why we have such a variation of the Mashiach's name out there, and that's why there's so much confusion, because people don't understand that. Again, there's a vast difference between modern Hebrew and the ancient Paleo-Hebrew. The ancient Paleo-Hebrew did not use the vowel points around the letters. The vowels were supplied by the speaker, or they were used by letters. Most people assume, because they've been taught this, that all the Hebrew letters are consonants and there's no vowels, and you have to use these vowel points around there to supply the vowels. That's not accurate either, because the Talmud, which is the writings concerning the scriptures that the rabbis use, you'll not find the vowel points written in the Talmud. That's one example of that, showing you that the words or names in Hebrew could have been written without the vowel points, or the nikud is what is referred to in Hebrew. So you'll find out that if you do enough digging and searching, that in the ancient, what we call Paleo-Hebrew, that they did not use the Masoretic vowel pointing to indicate the vowels. Actually, in ancient Paleo-Hebrew, there are 5 of the letters in the Hebrew alphabet that act as vowels. One of them, 4 of the letters are found in the Creator's name, Yahuwah. You know, when you pronounce His name, you're pronouncing all vowel sounds in the Creator's name. Even Josephus Flavius, who was a Jewish historian, even indicated in his writings that the Creator's name was pronounced with all vowel sounds, which it is. It's the 4 letters make up the Creator's name. Or the first Hebrew letter is Yod. In modern Hebrew, they refer to that as Yod, but it's Yod in ancient Hebrew. Yod, He, or Ha, is the second letter. The He being what modern Hebrew refers to as that letter, but it's the Ha. The Yod and the Ha would be the first 2 letters of the Creator's name, which is where we get the word Yah. That's the Hebrew number, by the way, 3050. You can look that up. That's where you find the word Yah in the word Hallelu, Yah. And but that's only the first 2 letters of the Creator's name. There's 4 letters that make up His name, and the 3rd letter being what in modern Hebrew they refer to as the Wa or the Vav. And by the way, those are new letters in the modern Hebrew. But in ancient Hebrew, there was not a Wa or a Vav. That letter was a Uah, or U sound is what it makes. And that's where we get the first 3 letters of Yahoo. I don't know if you noticed this or not, but the Prime Minister of Israel, his name is Benjamin Yahoo. Those 3 letters that are written in Hebrew are the same 3 letters in the Creator's name. Yod, He, Uah. That's how you get the Yahoo part. You don't need the vowels to be supplied to get the Yahoo pronunciation. So with that said, of course the last letter is another Ha or He, and when it's at the end of a word like Ah, it makes the Ah sound and not instead of the Ha sound. You'll find that also in the word Judah, or excuse me, Yahuda. Judah is the English way we would say it, but Yahuda has the last letter of that pronunciation, and everyone knows that that's how you pronounce Yahuda or Judah is what in modern terms. But the last part of that is the Yahudah, the part, and that is the same letter that's in the Yahuwah's name twice. And so you get the first 3 letters of His name are all 3 letters of the 4. 3 of the 4 letters in His name. Let me go back to saying that are all vowel sounds. I was going back to that. There are actually 5 vowels in the Hebrew language or letters that act as vowels, and that would be the 3 letters I've already mentioned. The ayin or the ain would also be a vowel. And the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet, or would be Aleph, is also a vowel. So you have 5 letters in the Hebrew language that act as vowels without having to have the vowel points to indicate or make vowel sounds. You have to have vowels in order to speak any language. You can't have just consonants and be able to speak a language. So I wanted to get more into, and I'll share just a little bit, then we'll have to continue this rest of this on our next session. But I mentioned that if you look up the word or the name Jesus, it's going to refer you to Greek number 2424, and then that's going to refer you to the Hebrew number of 3091. It's going to mention to you that the name Jesus, its origin is of a Hebrew origin. Now what does that mean? That means His name is Hebrew. It's not Greek, and it's not English. So why are we still calling upon the Savior's name as Jesus in Greek or in or Hesus, which would be in Latin, and then In Greek it would be Ieasous, and in English it's Jesus. But the origin of the name is Hebrew. So why don't we find out what his name, or the Mashiach's name, is in Hebrew and use his rightful name? Because there's power in using that name. Because it's also reflected of when you use the name Yahusha, which is his name, you're declaring that Yahuwah, which is our Creator's name, over 7,000 times in the Scriptures that his name is there, and we have been robbed from that, robbed from the blessing of using that name, and that name has power and authority in it, and it's time that we rise up as believers and begin to use and proclaim that name, the name that's above every name, the name that our Father says that every knee shall bow and every tongue confess that Yahusha is Yahuwah, to the glory or to the esteem of our Heavenly Father. And so that's the name that he gave to Moses, or Moshe, and said that this was the name that he was to be remembered in every generation. And of course that would include our generation that we live in. So it's important. Of course, in the latter days, he knew that this was going to happen, and he prophesied, Yahuwah did, that in the latter days he would make his name known unto his people, and they shall know his name, and they shall know me from the least to the greatest, Yahuwah said. And so the knowledge of his name is coming forth in these latter days. I am so blessed and thankful that I have the privilege of being able to minister this revelation and understanding to so many people, and I'm not the only one. There's many out there that have come to know and understand the Creator's name as being Yahuwah, and that the Mashiach or Messiah's name is Yahusha, which means, translated, Yahuwah is salvation. Well, we'll pick back up here on our next session. It's getting a little bit dark out here, and so we'll pick back up. Hopefully I'll have time tomorrow, and we'll continue with our next session. So I appreciate your time. Let me know if you're liking these teachings. I like to know that. Encourage me. Say anything. Let me know. Give me some input. Anything you like to share with me, I appreciate it. And I love you, and I thank you for your time. Shalom.